Hey, this is V, and I'm here to give you a quick wrap up of what happened in episode 10 of Mr. Queen. And a lot happens. Okay, the king and the queen storyline pretty much takes front center this episode. We get a lot of Mr. Queen this episode. I'm not complaining about it because she's hilarious. We open the episode with the king basically almost passed out in the well. The queen sees him down there and is just like, what are you doing down there? The king, she tells the king, I'm going to get help. The king tells her, no one should know I'm here. So she takes it upon herself to climb into the well, put him on her back, take him out of the well, and lay him in her bed. He gives her a big hug in thank you and won't let go of her, which winds up in them both waking up the next day, sleeping arm in arm in each other's hands. They look super comfortable together. When the Mr. Queen wakes up, he sees Chol Jang's face, looking super innocent, sleeping next to her, and wants to reach out and touch it. But then she remembers herself, rolls away, and thinks, okay, that was too much. However, they decide to go back to the palace. And they're going back to the palace because the king was not able to find this booklet. And the queen wants to get back to the palace because she has things that she needs to accomplish. The most pressing one being she wants to find all the concubines. She initially wanted to find all the concubines because she can look through all the family registries and find out what family that guy in the future is from and then eliminate them. But she has another reason to find all the concubines, which is because she wants to get her manhood back. Bong Hwan wants to get his manhood back. And he thinks checking out all these concubines is going to help bring his manhood back. As soon as he gets to the palace, pushes the king away and just runs off to kind of try and figure out the best way that she can help out with these concubines. The most important thing she needs to do to get the concubines is she has to get in good with the queen grandmother again. She decides, okay, I need to combine the memories of So Young with the history and acumen of Bong Hwan and become the absolute perfect queen. She says she's going to be cosplaying a queen. She goes to the queen grandmother, greets her perfectly, and the queen grandmother is super happy to see her. The queen grandmother wants her to make her some food. So Young goes back to the kitchen and it's like, shoot, I gotta make some food. She decides she's going to make it's like a bone soup. When she went to the village, she had gukbap, which is rice soup, and it's a Korean soul food is how she described it. But that was for commoners. She says the soul food for noble people is bone soup. She decides she's going to combine it together and makes like a soul food with bone soup and rice. Gives it to the grandmother queen. This kind of backfires because the royals should not eat rice with their soup. That's something commoners do. So the queen was super upset. However, she hasn't eaten in 48 hours or something. Her belly grumbled. She decided to go ahead and eat it. And when she ate it, she loved it. It reminded her of when she was a child before entering the palace, eating this food with her mother. Calls the queen in, tells her this is absolutely fabulous, and basically grants that the queen can have her pick of concubines. The only thing is, the queen has to get the king's approval too. When So Young is walking back to her side of the palace, she passes the lake, sees the king there, decides to greet the lake like a wonderful queen would do. The king is like, hold up, why are you acting right all of a sudden? So Young just pretends to be the perfect queen, tells him she's gonna pick his concubines, everything's gonna be great. He says, okay, you can pick my concubines, but I get to pick which family they're from. She's like, wait a second, I want to pick which families they're from. But he tells her, no, I'm picking it, but you can pick their face. So the queen's like, okay, face value is good. I can pick their face value. She goes about her day to wanting to pick the face value for the concubines. However, there's another issue because she thinks, yay, I get to be surrounded by all these concubines and pick them. But no, she just gets these packets of material about each family, has to go through them and decide which concubine to pick. She's so upset. She just starts flinging all the papers up in the air. Choi, her maid, who screams in the bamboo forest, is just beside herself with trying not to be upset at this queen. But it's basically impossible. Another thing that I didn't mention about the queen getting on the good side of the grandmother queen is that she made her a beauty face mask. She wrote a letter to the doctor with instructions on how to make a face mask and how to use something that smells really good for the mask. They gave it to the queen, the grandmother queen, and Mr. Queen told her, this is not something to eat, this is something for your skin. The queen puts it on, it works wonderfully, and the grandmother queen is just once again smitten with Mr. Queen. But none of it worked since So Young did not get to see her concubines and was just like, this stinks. She goes back to her room and goes to sleep that night, starts dreaming about concubines, taking a bath, a rose petal bath, and is just super happy about that. But then all the concubines disappear in the bath. The king shows up in the bath with a rose petal over his lips and pulls the queen into an almost another kiss, which is So Young's kind of nightmare because she's trying to become a man again, but she's falling for the king. That's the end of So Young's story. Chul Jang's story is a little bit more on the conspiracy side because he's trying to get this book. He doesn't know where we went. The viewer knows that Hwa Jin took the book. She went back to the house, to So Young's house, when the king and queen weren't there. It was probably when they were in the village, and was just kind of walking around. She saw the well, peeked inside, and happened to see the book. So she climbed in there and got this book, which makes you think, okay, Moongun, I think you need to find a better place to hide this book. Anyway, she takes the book back with her to the palace. She reads it, finds out, oh wow, this is the absolute perfect thing to destroy the Kim family, which is what the king wants. The entire episode, she's trying to get this book to the king. One way she tried was when she found out the king was back, she walked to the lake where the king was, but she didn't give it to him then because he was with the queen at the lake. She tried writing a letter to the king telling her to meet her somewhere, and she gave it to her maid to give to the king. However, this maid is not on her side. She's a spy maid, and gave it to Debbie. Debbie decided that she would distract the king in order for Hwa Jin to just stand outside for a really long time and the king to not meet her to give her whatever this thing is that Hwa Jin wanted to give her. So they waited. They gave the king They gave the king the letter when he was about to go to his politics meeting. He couldn't read the letter. Afterwards, Debbie met with the king, so he couldn't read the letter again. He was hours late to meet Hwa Jin by the time he finally read this letter. And by that time, he went to meet with Hwa Jin. Hwa Jin was super upset at him and did not give him the book or tell him that she had the book. In fact, Hwa Jin was so mad because the king was starting to call her concubine instead of calling her by her name. So Hwa Jin's like, wait, hold up. I thought we had something here. She's just upset. The king tells his people, Hong and Yang Pyong, that they still need to find this book. Hong's kind of like, let's just move on without it. But the king wants to keep going with it. His whole thing is, his nightmare, as the title was, is that he's just a puppet king that's being led by the grandmother queen. He thinks if he does something wrong, everything's going to get destroyed that he loves. He has a nightmare about that at the end of the episode, which makes him wake up all huffing and puffing and sweating. And in order to calm himself from that nightmare, he starts a brand new book, which becomes the Dictionary of So Young. And he writes down all of So Young's euphemisms and phrases that only she does, starts putting them all down in this book, and this makes him feel a lot better. The body was also found this episode. The body was put in the well by one of those spy maids and found. Hwa Jin was told that this body is in the well and this body is her maid. We do not know if this is the maid or if this is just a person who they found, like an already dead person who they took and put in the well to pretend like it's the maid. But Hwa Jin is told it's the maid. She runs to the site. You cannot recognize the body anymore because it's been in water for so long. And I mean, poor Hwa Jin, this whole episode has been bad for her. So I felt for her this episode, but it looked like she turned completely evil because she goes to her archery. She starts firing off shot after shot, arrow after arrow into a wall. Yang Pyong is, all in love with her. So he's like, I think you need to calm down a little bit. She's like, leave me alone. Starts firing more shots. And the very last image of her is just this image that looks really, really evil, but beautiful. Really beautiful, but really evil. So we'll see if she turns extra evil in the next episode. That's basically the main storylines that happened in Mr. Queen today. We're going to be working on the spoiler video to hopefully get that up later on today. It might take a little longer today, but to try to get it up later on today. And yep, that's it. So I will catch you on the next drama.